Hey, you ever have one of those moments that just slaps you in the face so hard it feels like your whole life's about to flip? That's how it started for me right out there at my own backyard grill, spatula in hand, when I heard, "Hey you, my mom said you'd be out here. We need more burgers for the guys. And make them quick, boy. We're hungry." The words hung heavy in the sticky summer air, mean as they were casual, like smoke from the grill curling up and sticking to your skin, impossible to shake off. They slithered right past the sound of birds and the distant hum of a lawnmower landing in my chest like a cold stone. My hand tightened on the spatula so hard the metal groaned, but I'd learned after 15 years of keeping my face unreadable not to let that rage bubble up to the surface. That was the only thing stopping me from launching that spatula straight through the neighbor's fence. Instead, I turned slow, taking in the kid standing there, 18 maybe, with that expensive, messy blonde hair, blue shirt, and a sneer that had probably never been wiped clean his whole life. His friends, three of them, were behind him, all clones in spirit if not in face, giggling like they were in on some secret. It was the capstone on 6 months of dealing with their family, his mother's fake sweet little digs about my lawn or my TV, the sound of his car roaring out of their driveway like he owned the street. I'd moved to this cul-de-sac for the quiet, for a chance to just be another guy, just a black man, hoping for a little peace and the smell of charcoal chicken on a Saturday. But standing there, spatula in hand, looking at this kid, all I saw was someone who'd grown up being told the world would bend for him and expected me to do the same. The way he said boy, that wasn't by accident. It was a weapon meant to cut me down to size. He figured I'd just jump and serve him smile, be grateful for a crumb of approval. I stood there not confused by his nerve, but by the sheer audacity of how openly he played it. My blood roared in my ears. I could have burned his whole fantasy down right then. But I reminded myself I wasn't just any man, I was an instrument meant for precision, not passion. So I let the silence drag and watched the confidence flicker in his eyes as his buddy's laughter faded. "I'm sorry," I said, low and calm, not an ounce of apology in my voice. "I think you're confused. This is my grill, my food, my yard." I turned back to my chicken, flipping it with deliberate care. That sizzle in the quiet was louder than anything he could have said. He bristled. "Did you hear me? My mom paid for your fence last year. Least you could do is cook us some burgers." Total lie. I'd paid cash for that fence, but that was the game twist. The truth make me, the charity case put me in my place. This wasn't just some punk being a jerk, he was practiced. This was a kid who'd learned how to manipulate, who could spin lies like breathing. My anger went cold and sharp. If he wanted a game, I'd play it, but by my rules. See, revenge is a dish best served invisible. As I put my chicken on the platter, I made myself a promise I'd find out exactly what skeletons this boy kept hidden, and I'd use them to break his kingdom apart piece by piece. He didn't know it, but the man at the grill wasn't just a neighbor. I was the last person he should have picked a fight with. That night, the party next door rattled my windows. I sat in my study, my real sanctuary, stripped of anything personal but a single photo turned face down. State-of-the-art computers hummed quietly. This was where the agent took over. I replayed the fence moment in my mind, not as an insult but as data. The kid had given me a target. My job was to learn, infiltrate, and execute, not with fists, but with patience and skill. I started digging. His mom, divorced, was a real estate agent, always performing for social media. The dad, just a name on a document out in California, remarried out of the picture. The son was her everything. His online footprint, private Instagram, a Twitter full of crypto and politics, nothing criminal but something off. That lie about the fence, though, it stuck. It was too smooth. A habit, maybe. So I watched. From my darkened study with a directional mic, I listened. Most of it was boring suburban noise. Until late one night, I heard the rapid click of a mechanical keyboard and a hushed, urgent voice full of hacker lingo, proxy chains, scrubbed metadata rats. This kid wasn't just some privileged punk, he was a serious black hat hacker, and whatever he was doing was way beyond streaming movies. Suddenly, my private feud wasn't so private. This was a predator hiding behind privilege, operating in the shadows. My revenge turned into something bigger. I set up a passive network listener, nothing active, nothing traceable. But to get deeper, I needed to get inside. Opportunity came disguised as garbage day. A friendly chat with a sanitation guy got me the code to the community gate. Another day, while his mom hosted her book club, I strolled by carrying a device that tricked his smart home gadgets into briefly connecting. Just 30 seconds and I had my ghost malware quietly listening for the real prize. Soon, encrypted data started trickling in from his bedroom at odd hours, huge file transfers, professional-level discipline. This wasn't teenage dabbling, this was business. The more I saw, the angrier I got. This boy hiding behind race and money was a real threat. Then came the twist I never saw coming. One morning, the mom stomped over, acting like a general, to accuse me of noise her son's clicking keyboard blamed on me. The irony was so thick I nearly laughed. But I played it straight, offered to help. She invited me inside. Upstairs, her son's study was a gamer's cockpit decked out for war. I spotted a hidden drive labeled insurance in my world, that's code for blackmail or a dead man's switch. I photographed everything, then played dumb, warning her about a possible fire hazard. She bought it, worry stamped on her face. Back in my study, I started pulling threads. The MAC address led to military-grade crypto hardware. The network pattern screamed espionage. I tweaked my malware to do a little deep packet inspection, dangerous, but I used every trick in the book. Days passed. Then a lucky break. His VPN dropped for a few seconds and I caught a tiny, unencrypted data packet. Inside, a list of U.S. federal employees, their clearances, addresses, even family names. The kid wasn't just hacking, he was selling targeting data. This was espionage, and suddenly my little war became national security. I knew I couldn't just hand over what I had, too risky, too many rules. So I built a fake persona online, a white hat hacker who'd stumbled on the evidence, left just enough for the feds to connect the dots themselves. I packaged the intel, sent it from a library miles away, then erased my tracks and waited. Days ticked by. Subtle changes, faint encrypted radio chatter, a new utility van down the street. I watched from my window as the professionals closed in, feeling both invisible and invincible. Then 2 weeks after my tip, the raid came. 2 black SUVs, a SWAT truck, the garbage truck blocking the exit. They hit the house like a tidal wave, agents pouring in, flashbang screams, the whole circus. The mother in her robe dragged out shell-shocked. The boy, wild-eyed and cuffed, marched past a sea of lawmen. For a heartbeat, his eyes met mine. And in that look, there was nothing, no recognition, no clue. The man he'd called boy was just another neighbor in the window. He never even knew who destroyed him. After that, the neighborhood was never the same. Gossip news vans, the house next door went up for sale, the mother aged overnight. I grilled burgers again, finally enjoying a quiet Saturday, thinking about how my revenge had morphed into something bigger, a reckoning not just for a kid who'd tried to put me in my place, but for the system that armored him against consequence. You know, the funny thing is, I never lifted a finger against him, never raised my voice, never even had to lie. I just let him step into the trap he'd set for others. In the end, the real victory wasn't watching him led away. It was flipping a system that was always used against men like me and turning it for once into a tool for justice. So that's my story. The world keeps turning. There's always another king to be dethroned. What do you think, was justice served, or did the system just find a new face to blame? Drop a comment, argue it out. I want to hear where you stand on revenge, privilege, and what it really means to get even.